This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFLTV. It's Fight Week, ES Sports World Cup. But obviously headlining the boxing show this weekend is MOSE, Itauma and Dillian Whyte, Francis. Let's just jump straight to it. Big step up. Bold move from your team. Yeah.
Big step up. But you know, you've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? And I think Dillian Whyte represents obviously his biggest challenge, but it will be the biggest reward so far. So I think it's definitely a calculated risk. But I think you know, if you ask all the top guys as they're coming up, it's about risk reward and doing things at the right time. And I think that we might have hit the nail on the head here.
Talk to me about the process of this fight happening. Obviously, there was a lot of talk, or some talk, about Dillian Whyte possibly fighting Anthony Joshua. Out of nowhere, this was kind of put. So just tell me the process of how it was suggested and etc. And yeah.
Well, got a phone call, said you fancy it. So I rang Moses. He said you fancy it, and everyone said yes. It was a pretty straightforward one. I'm sure if you ask my brother, it would be a bit more complicated than that. But you know, to be honest, I think there was a few different fights being talked about for both Moses and for Dillian. And you know, the guys that His Excellency, I think, put it forward as well, mentioned it as a possibility. And George and him had a conversation, and it just snowballed from there. You know, for different reasons, you've got to give both guys massive respect for taking this. Obviously, Dillian's, I wouldn't say is at the tail end of his career. Moses is very much at the beginning of his, and although a loss for either of the guys doesn't represent a huge disaster, because obviously they're both elite level fighters, but it certainly does make a big difference to the winner's career going forward. Massive difference.
I mean, very few people we've spoke to are picking Dillian in this fight. They're all kind of making Moses an overwhelming favourite. But someone like Dillian Whyte wouldn't be taking this fight. Listen, financial gain aside, wouldn't be taking this fight unless he was fully confident that he can go and beat Moses, would he?
Dillian's a bad guy. He's a bad man. You know, and I don't mean that socially or anything. He's a lovely fellow.
No, he's that as well.
But what I mean is that, you know, you've seen him fight. You've seen him, what he's done to people. The rows he's had in the ring, and not just that. It's just, you know, he's a talented boxer as well, but who can absolutely and will not lie down for anybody. I think this is the fittest I've seen him look for a long time. It's the most focused I've seen Dillian, you know, in his interviews and things like that. He sounds like he's saying all the right things. He looks in great shape, and like you said, he's not just going to turn up and let what he perceives as a 20-year-old young man come in here and do what he wants with him. He's come in here to with maximum violence. I think that's what Dillian Whyte's all about, and Moses has got to be 100%, 110% on his game. To continue this meteoric rise that he's on at the moment. You know, both guys, there's a lot to lose. But as I said, you know, the winner can march on forward.
Francis, what did you make of Chisora's comments at the start when this fight was announced? He was almost, you know, I think he rung Dillian up and he was kind of telling him or advising him that he doesn't think that this is a good idea for him to take this fight. What do you make of that?
My old mate Derek. Listen, maybe it's good advice. Maybe Dillian should have listened to his old mate Derek. But listen, it's just, you know, this isn't a ticking competition, is it? So, you know, boxing, you've always got potential for things to be tough. You know, there's no tougher sport on the planet, and I think that what these guys do is the toughest job, one of the toughest jobs on the planet. What they put themselves through, not just fight night, but it's the 10 weeks leading up to it. And then obviously, you know, they've got to spend all day talking to the likes of you, KUGAN, as well, which can't be too much fun.
Oh, people love talking to us.
No, but listen, with Derek, you know, he's been there and done it. He's been in there twice with Dillian, so he knows what he's all about. So maybe Moses should take a bit of maybe read into that a bit more. And Derek thinks that this is a one-sided foregone conclusion. Who knows?
Could be mind games from Derek, couldn't it? Who knows?
You never know with Derek. You never know.
But look, from where Moses has come in a very short space of time, I remember obviously talking to you, you know, even before he kind of turned pro, you had so much confidence that this was going to be, you know, kind of the next one, if you like, which he's not there yet, but all the signs are pointing towards that Moses Itauma is kind of, the next thing.
Well, it's when he first turned pro, we were just talking about that first press conference he did and how much he's come on, in his interviews and his confidence and his general outlook on boxing, when he's talking to you guys. I knew that there was something special there. I think the majority of people within the boxing industry knew that he was going to be, the next big thing. But it's all down to his temperament and his dedication, and it increases every single camp. There's no ducking out of any sessions. There's no shortcuts. There's no, his diet's on point now. Everything he does is calculated. It's for a reason, and we have to almost follow his lead and make sure that we're all on point. We're all doing the right things for his career, because he's a precious talent. He's a potential generational great as far as I'm concerned. And it's not just sport. I think he'll transcend into cultural significance for Britain, for Slovakia and for Nigeria. I think he's going to be something really special for years to come.
It's impossible to look at Moses and kind of comprehend in your brain that he's just turned 20. Like, there's states in America.
He's the oldest 20-year-old on the planet.
Yeah, he is. If his things, he couldn't go out to America and have a drink. Not that he's a drinker, he doesn't drink, but it's mad. I mean, but now we're hearing it in his voice, we're hearing it in his interviews, how kind of that progression over the last 18 months especially, where I'm not saying he loves doing interviews, because he seems like that side of it, he'd probably just say nothing.
You just said, though, if he's interested in talking, like you say, if you captivate a conversation with Moses and you hit him with something he wants to talk to you about, then he's all ears. But if you ask him how's camp been, he'll just go, do me a favour, what do you think? I've gone to the gym, I've trained, I'll go home, have chicken rice, go for a run, I'll go to bed. That's how camp is. So he's got interests outside of boxing. I think that the fact that he doesn't just want to talk about boxing is, it shows that he's got confidence in his own right as a fella, not just as a boxer. And if you ask him, I'm not going to tell you. You have to ask him about his general interests out of boxing. He's a real surprise at some of the stuff he's into.
Okay, well, listen, Francis, we look forward to... What? We stay out of these kind of things, Francis, we do.
One day you get off the fence.
No, absolutely not. And also, aren't they both Queensbury fighters?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay. So we just leave...
I'm Moses' manager.
I know you are, but I'm just saying that you're both Queensbury fighters that are on the card. But no, we stay out of these discussions, and we have done for 15 years.
I think it's a great card Saturday as well. I think it's nice to see some of the other Queensbury boys over here doing the thing. But for sure, Moses is definitely main event, and it's a good taste for him of what's to come over the next 10-15 years. It's going to be a great night.
Not long to find out. Francis Warren, thank you very much for talking to IFLTV, and we'll catch up with you at some point again in the week.
Cheers, Pat. Thanks, mate.